There are times when writing fiction can be a little bit tricky. You have characters who need to act in ways that are true to their nature and motivations, but also fit within the confines of your story. In other words, you want your characters to do things that make sense for them, but also make sense for the plot. This is where the work of a writer really comes into play. A good story can take something as simple as staring at a wall and turn it into a white-knuckle ride. And if you're looking to get better at writing stories yourself, the best thing you can do is read more books. And with so many amazing stories being published every year, how do you pick a place to start? Well, I have just the thing for you. Now, back to the story. The car rolled to a stop and the screen door chimed as it opened. Inside, dust motes danced in the afternoon sunlight, slanting through grimy windows. Martha hummed to herself as she pushed back a stray strand of hair that had escaped her bun. "You just make yourself right at home, dearie. Make yourself right at home." She turned from the stove and smiled, or at least Martha thought she did. It was hard to tell behind the flour-dusted grin plastered across her face. Her visitor shifted uncomfortably. They'd been on the road for weeks, and this latest leg of the journey had been an exhausting one. A broken axle and dwindling supplies had forced them off the main highway and onto a dusty back road. And finally, as the sun began its slow dip towards the horizon, they saw the welcoming glow of a porch light in the distance. They'd driven up to Martha's house just as dusk had fallen. Martha stepped outside and waved as they drove up. "Well, hello there, dearie," she called out, tipping her straw hat back to get a better look. "You just pull on in and I'll fix you right up." She watched as they parked and killed the engine. From the back seat, Martha could see a man, a woman, and a boy. The three of them looked worn and weary, their clothes dusty and travel-stained, but it was the boy who caught her eye. He sat slumped in his seat, his head lolling to the side. His skin was pale, almost translucent, like the moonlight filtering through a window on a winter's night. Martha blinked. His eyes were wrong. They stared straight ahead, unseeing, but it was his smile that truly unsettled her. It was too wide, stretched unnaturally across his face, revealing teeth that were just a little bit too sharp, a little bit too long. Martha hurried to the porch steps. "Now, y'all just come on in," she said, her voice chipper. "I'll get the kettle on and we'll get you some supper." She held out a hand to help the woman out of the car, but she only looked at it in confusion before shaking her head. Martha frowned, sensing something amiss, but pressed on. "Come on, dearie. Don't just stand there. Why don't you come and sit on the porch swing and relax while I get everything else settled?" But the woman seemed lost in thought, her eyes blank. She slowly nodded, her gaze fixed on some distant point beyond the trees. Martha didn't wait another second, ushering the pair forward with a gentle push. The man followed close behind them. He exchanged a look with Martha. His face was etched with lines of worry and fatigue, his eyes filled with a desperate hope. Martha knew exactly what he was thinking. She could see it in the way he looked at his wife, the tension in his shoulders, the pleading in his voice as he tried to convince her to rest. As Martha led them into the kitchen, she couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't quite right. It was as if a shadow had fallen over the room, stifling the warmth of the fire and clouding the air with an unsettling chill. She glanced back to check on them, but the living room was empty. The swing was still swaying gently, but the couple and their son were gone. Martha stood frozen in place, a growing dread coiling in her stomach. The front door creaked open, letting in a sliver of moonlight. She could hear the faint echo of voices, hushed whispers that seemed to slither around her, sending shivers down her spine. Martha took a shaky breath, trying to quell the fear that threatened to overwhelm her. She wanted to scream, to run, to do anything to escape the suffocating terror that was closing in around her, but she found herself rooted to the spot, unable to move, unable to speak. Then, As if drawn by some invisible force, Martha turned back to the kitchen. On the table lay a single object, a small wooden box adorned with silver clasps. Its presence seemed to pulse with an eerie glow, beckoning her with an otherworldly light. As Martha reached out to touch it, the whispers grew louder, swirling around her in a cacophony of sound. The box thrummed with energy, the clasps clicking rhythmically as if alive. Panicked, Martha stumbled back, knocking over a chair in her haste. The whispers swelled, rising to a deafening crescendo. Desperation clawed at her throat, choking off her screams as the box pulsed with an unearthly light. With a final ear-splitting click, the clasps snapped open, releasing a burst of blinding light that consumed the room. When Martha's vision cleared, she found herself lying on the floor, the wooden box nowhere to be seen. Gasping, she pushed herself up, her heart pounding against her ribs like a frantic bird trapped in a cage. The kitchen was silent, the oppressive hum of energy replaced by an unnerving quiet. Shaking, she rose to her feet and began to search frantically, her fingers trailing over every surface, desperate to find the box, to escape the suffocating silence that threatened to crush her. But the box was gone, vanished without a trace. Outside, the wind had picked up, whipping around the corners of the house with newfound vigor. Martha rushed to the window, her breath fogging the glass. She scanned the moonlit landscape, searching for any sign of movement, anything that could explain the sudden shift in the atmosphere. But all she saw was the relentless wind and the swaying trees. Martha felt a chill crawl up her spine, a premonition of the horrors that lay ahead. Martha's blood ran cold as she understood the truth. She had stumbled upon something ancient, something malevolent, and she had unwittingly unleashed it into the world. The box, the whispers, the ethereal glow, they were all remnants of an entity from beyond our understanding, a being that had lain dormant for eons, waiting for its prison to be opened, waiting for it to be set free. Now, with the power it had gained, it was hunting, seeking to claim what was rightfully hers. Martha knew she had to act fast. If she couldn't find a way to stop it, then the fate of everyone in this town, maybe everyone in the world, would rest on her shoulders. The full weight of her responsibility crashed down on her, and she could feel the cold grip of fear tightening around her heart. Martha stumbled through the darkened rooms of her house, each creak of the floorboard echoing like a drumbeat in the silence. She felt a crushing dread settling over her, a premonition of the terrifying ordeal that awaited her. As she searched for answers, the darkness seemed to press in around her, whispering secrets she couldn't understand, hinting at the horrors that lurked just beyond her sight. The clock ticked relentlessly, every second stretching into an eternity. Martha's determination burned brightly, fueling her desperate search for a way out. Then, just as despair threatened to consume her, she saw it, a glimmer of hope in the form of an old leather-bound book hidden on a dusty shelf. With trembling hands, she pulled it free, its worn pages whispering tales of forgotten lore. As Martha delved deeper into the book's cryptic verses, she felt a surge of adrenaline course through her veins. She was on the verge of discovering something profound, something that could change everything. Could this ancient knowledge hold the key to stopping the relentless entity that pursued her? Or would it lead her further into the abyss, sealing her fate and the fate of countless others?